I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
And this is...
Moth to Flames?
No, Moth to
Flames.
Moth
Gatherer. Well, you know what it is?
What?
Okay, it's Pale Explosions, the Moth Gatherer. But I
Okay.
picture like a little pale explosion, and then like the light draws the moths.
Like
so
that?
So it was Moth Gatherer to me.
Moth Gatherer,
Moth.
Pale Explosions.
Yes.
There we are. This is for the big homie Julian. This is the second Julian song we've done in a row.
Shout out to Julian.
Shout out to Julian. I had a good friend named Jules I was talking to Sori about a couple days ago.
I know, that's funny. I thought of that when I was getting this ready. I was like, oh, Jules.
So shout out to Jules. Tell the people how Jules got the wonderful providence of ending up with the song.
Jules, lucky guy, overpaid. Wait a minute. That's not a good thing. Actually, I realized that, okay, so if you want to get a song reaction, let me start here. It's $125 to get a song reaction, but after you do that 3 times, you jump down to $75 per song reaction.
So that's a tier on Patreon, right?
Is.
So you can do that once a month for 3 months and get knocked down $75 rate.
Or you can go through PayPal.
VinceRayMerch@gmail.com. Some people do both.
Some people do multiple songs on PayPal so they don't wait months after months. But anyway,
yeah.
Julian...
Smart people that have the hack.
Julian did his 3 125s, and then he jumped down to the $100 tier. So he overpaid. So
because there's no $100 tier.
Right. He decided that he would like to have song reactions to make up for the overpayment, so we can continue being honest YouTubers.
Is this the guy that we gave the shirt to?
No. But it looks like you're getting a shirt too now, Julian.
Hey, you're also getting a shirt. Send us your email and
no, message me and tell me your size and your address.
And your address and
Vin loves passing out merch, so you're the lucky guy.
Speaking of merch and patrons, so here's something that's really cool. So this is one of the things that we're doing. In the back.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it does. Yeah.
These are the Till We Die shirts, like the real good ones. And you can see here we've got a poll, and so we're gonna let the poll run for a couple days, and then whoever wins in that poll on the shirt design, that's the one that
design that's going to be in our shop. Listen, you don't have to be a patron to actually go in there and vote. There's a couple places to vote. One is you can vote on our channel in the community section.
Yep.
Or you can vote on Patreon. I let that poll be something that's public. So you can go right on our Patreon. Link is in the description of this video for all the stuff we've been talking about. And you can just vote there. There's one that's like, hey, here's the picture. And then there's the other one that is the actual poll. Please poll.
Well, you were.
Trump had toilet paper stuck to his shoe.
We were.
What is it? He had papers.
Yeah, we were like supposed to keep that subliminal, but you can't. You can't keep things subliminal, I see. But here's the thing, and Sori doesn't know this because the idea literally just popped into my head. Whichever, so non-patrons can vote, but whichever design gets selected, if you voted on that, we'll put your name in a jar and we'll pull it out, and whoever wins that is going to get the free shirt that we designed.
Oh, shit, I thought you were going to say everybody that votes is going to get a free shirt. I'm like, babe, you can't. You've got to draw some lines.
We'll put your names in a thing and then in a hat, and we'll pull it out, and you'll get a free shirt thanking you for participating in the poll work. Also, if you're a patron, trust me, we're going to shoot an update video pretty soon. You guys are you're gonna like it. And as long as it's legal and we don't get caught, we're going to continue to do it.
That's so scary. Let's go.
Well, hey. All right. So having said that, let's get to the song. This is Pale Explosions, Moth Gatherer. Let's go. I got the lyrics. We're good. I'm just in my little zone right now.
Yeah, you look like you are. Your eyes are different.
I was listening to the Joe Rogan thing. He's talking about DMT and stuff, and
Yeah.
like all the ways that these other people like have a breakthrough DMT like experience. And he was talking. The guy was talking about how music functions as one of those.
100%. 100%. Yep.
One of these days, I'd like to do one of my little musical rituals with you. You know, like the sauna thing. You turn it off. You got one candle. Listen to music. Don't say anything for about an hour. It's a pretty intense feeling. But I've never done it with like another actual. I've never done it with a human being. So it'd be interesting with a human being in the room.
Yeah, what that would be like.
Yeah.
So we would suffocate ourselves in the steam in the bathroom?
I don't know if it's suffocation, but we got that. What do you call it? That little Beats pill thing that I got a couple days ago. And you just sit there and you play the shit.
Yeah.
You come up with like
definitely want to do that when the kids are home, so that way they can watch the other babies. Because I'll be like distracted. I'll be like, I wonder if there's a baby crying and I can't hear them in the music.
Yeah.
And I you got to be like. You have to. The world has to fall away.
Yeah, you got those lights. You got those lights, so we can change the tinge of the room.
Yep.
Yeah, I like I said, I've never done it with a human being, so.
I can't believe you're considering sharing that with me.
Yeah. I mean you're the only
Ben Webb.
Ben or Kai. But with Kai, it has to, it's got to be in the woods. But yeah. I think Ben. I actually think Ben would be cool about that. I think he'd get some like.
I'm not talking about Ben anymore.
He'd get some. Well, he'd get some real revelations, and he would go right up to his sister, Jen G, and he'd apologize to her for being such a jerk.
A
jerk. So what was going on with you in the song? Because there's a couple things going on with me with the song, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, it was interesting because first of all, when it talks about blood and broken nails will be washed away by the rain.
Yeah.
Like obviously that I'm a Christian, so I can't hear blood and nails without thinking of Jesus.
Right. That's true.
And then when it was talking about jars filled with fireflies, I don't know what ire is.
Ire is like frustration, bad feeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So jars filled with fireflies. I totally know that I'm butchering the song and this is not what it was supposed to be. Yada yada yada.
You don't know
but this
that.
is art, okay?
You don't know that you're butchering the song.
Yeah. So to me the jars filled with fireflies, we were the jars and the fireflies are what you put inside and it's your guiding light. And so it really actually morphed together with the other song that I was listening to as well, like the drowning one, the ISIS one.
Oh, okay.
Which was the light in the water.
Okay, I'm tracking. I'm like, where is she going with that?
So
okay.
For me, it was like, okay, so the air is getting thinner, the long walk is getting to an end. Nothing we do will keep the fires alive. Like, at first I was thinking that it was like, back like a long time ago, it was like the Vikings or like some group of people that were traveling and they couldn't keep the fire because obviously that was part of the way that you would stay alive is that you were able to keep the fire alive. Like they would keep it in this little thing and so they were able to keep starting fires. Literally, I have no clue how they did that and it's a very confusing thought to me. And I've thought about it multiple times, like how did they carry fire like that?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
you're gonna suck the oxygen.
Weird.
It just I don't get it. Like
Definitely
I get matches. That I get. But
definitely
so
weird.
Nothing we do will last. Okay, Elysium. I love the word Elysium. What does it mean again?
That's remember that movie that we saw?
I do.
So in Greek mythology, you have this thing called the Elysian Fields, which is the ELY prefixes, and it's basically heaven. And then Elysium was also like this drink that is almost. There's another drink that's also the nectar of the gods, but Elysium was also like the drink of the nectar of the gods. So Elysium to me
that can be like one of our kids' middle names.
The girl, yeah. Elysium to me is in the song. What'd you do with the lyrics?
Oh, it's over here.
Your decisions make no sense to me. Nothing we do will last. Elysium shines. So it looks like what he's talking about is, to me anyway, the ideal world. Would be Elysium. Like it's and that's kind of like in the movie. That was Ben Affleck, his buddy Matt Damon. in the movie, it was basically a story about class struggle, but the people that were on there, but then the people up in Elysium it was like a paradisical, almost what you see at the end of the New Testament, a garden city type of thing. So I think what he's saying is nothing will last, and we're always thinking about Elysium as a goal. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting about this band,
they have fireflies.
So check this out. So this is the name. So Alex is one of the founders of the band. They're a Swedish band apparently, and apparently they started the band as a therapy tool to help them deal with the loss of people that they love.
Interesting. Okay.
So this is not about this song, but it's about the band as a whole, like what the band is trying to accomplish. When you lose someone, a lot of things in your world is upside down, and it's hard to see something positive. You also get a lot of questions about why. More or less, we fumble around in darkness. Moths always search for a source of light, like you do. So for me, the name stands for a search for hope.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So if you look at that and then put Elysium Shines in the context of, if you juxtapose it with what's right on top of it, mm-hmm. Sure, nothing we build will last, whatever. But there's also the hope that Elysium is an ideal, is still maybe attainable.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the dealing with the realities and the exigencies of life, namely that people die. Mm-hmm. The air is getting thinner. The long walk is getting to an end. Nothing we do will keep the fires alive. I'm assuming he's talking about the divine spark in all of us. Mm. You're never going to find the fountain of youth this side of eternity. Like, you're going to die.
So when he said jars filled with fireflies and frustration, you said that you took the jars as to be people.
Well, I took the jars as the containers of people. But what's inside the jar is the divine spark, the soul, and that is what leaves. Mm-hmm. So all you have left is an empty jar, which is why when a person dies, we refer to them as the body. Mm-hmm. Because what we know as them is gone.
Right.
We know, and then I say this over and over, we know that people are more than just their bodies. And we know that, the fact that we know that is indicated by the fact that when somebody dies and we're going to bury them or whatever, we don't say, you say, pick up a body or whatever, bury the body, blah, blah, blah. Because we understand there's a dichotomy between the body and the person.
Yeah.
They're interdependent, but they cannot be the same thing. Otherwise, that makes no sense. Mm-hmm.
So when he says the fireflies leaves,
the spleen stays.
Right. You think that that's the body
still
I think,
there. Yeah, I think
the spirit goes.
Yeah, I think he's saying that to make it clear about what he's talking about. Jar after jar breaks into darkness. Yeah. The thing that was holding. Because all of us know that our body is containing something. Mm-hmm. And whether you want to call it a soul, spirit, your chakra.
Or neurons firing off.
Yeah. Soul, spirit, chakra. Whatever you want to call it. We all know there's something about us that continues on after death, but is also simultaneously still very tragic.
Yeah.
And obviously, as a Christian, to me, like, the reason it's tragic, this is a massive misconception that your physical body is just basically an inconvenient tool that you have to use to function in the physical world. But then when you die, then you really become what you really are, and the body was just a shell. That's not Christianity. Mm-hmm. Your body is just as important as everything else, and Jesus had to inhabit a physical body, and he rose from the dead in an actual corporeal physical body. Mm-hmm. And that's our hope too. So our perspective on the body, and JP2 probably in the last 100 years probably wrote the most brilliant, thoughtful, insightful. I'm talking about John Paul II.
Yeah, I know.
He wrote this thing called the Theology of the Body. Mm-hmm. And he just goes on and on and on about history.
The theology?
Theology of the body. Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. I think it's like Theologica Soma or something like that. It's unbelievable.
Theologica Soma?
Yeah. It's just
so pretty sounding.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, JP2, he was a boss. Shout out to the homie. Inshallah, he repented of saying that he was the vice regent of heaven, earth, and hell, and the vicar of Christ and all that stuff before he died, inshallah. But anyway, the point is, like, the body is extremely important, and so souls are important too, obviously, and your spirit's important. All that's important. But it looks like the perspective here is trying to fight for some level of hope, which I'm getting in the Elysium line, while simultaneously facing the stark reality that you're going to die.
Yeah.
And as a Christian, that's
we've talked about that. Go ahead.
Well, go ahead, because I won't forget you.
But I will. Yeah. Well, we've talked about that before. The whole if our lives are meant to end, does that make our lives super significant or completely insignificant?
Right.
So that's all I was going to say.
Right. Well, if you say meant to end, that by default
meaning
carries significance to it, because that implies. But again, there's this doctor that we're following, and he hasn't come out and said he's an atheist or whatever, but he's talking about neurology and things like that, and the brain and how to hack your behavior and manage stress. And he constantly talks about how, well, the brain was designed to do this. And then when he talks about, stress and adrenal glands and endorphins, I see what he's saying. It makes a ton of logical sense. Mm-hmm. But it's because it seems pretty designed to me, for sure. But yeah, he's such a fragile light to guide us, which again, I think he's talking about the internal divine spark that we all have. Mm-hmm. And he's right. From our worldview, even the divine spark, even though it comes from God, is not enough to guide you to God.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why we have to have special revelation.
The ignorant will fail to see the path.
Yeah. That's the reason that we have special revelation from a Christian worldview, is that we're too dark to find the way by ourselves. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to my good friend Mark, the agnostic, and we were talking about the concept of certainty.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. Okay, hold on. When you think about hope, and you think that hope only comes from God, the fact that we hope means that there's a desire or a hope that there was something else out there that was good or whatever.
Right.
And I believe that hope comes from God. And so when you think like that, that searching out of hope is, again, it's just everything good that we have. People are gonna, die 1,000 deaths over this, but everything good that we have comes from God. And so every bit of mercy, every bit of goodness, every bit of everything that is positive, all of it comes from and stems from God. And so hope itself comes from God. And it is interesting, because if you have hope, then there's this desire that there's something else out there that's bigger or more meaningful or whatever.
Or meaningful, period.
God himself is out there, and God himself places that desire in you to hope for something greater. But anyway.
No, it's true. And you were
saying something.
Yeah, me and my agnostic buddy. Don't womansplain me.
Well, checking to see if your man's spreading, taking up all the space under his desk.
That was very good. Well done. And we were talking about certainty, and so he initially started a conversation saying that certainty is impossible, which is, of course, a certain statement. Mm-hmm. It's like when people say there's no such thing as absolute truth. Mm-hmm. It's a self-stultifying statement. And so he goes, okay, I see the point. I see the argument. He's like, but how do you ascertain certainty? Mm-hmm. And so if you look here, he's talking about a fragile light to guide us, the ignorant failing, not being able to see the path, fumbling, screaming, and fighting. And so, I brought up, the famous, everybody talks about, it's like Plato, Aristotle, I'm pretty sure it's Plato, but, the guy in the cave. You grow up in the cave your whole life, it's dark. And if there's a fire outside and somebody puts up the shadows of certain, you're only seeing the shadow of a eagle or the shadow of a snake. Yeah. You don't really know what it looks like because you're in the cave. You've been in the cave your whole life. Mm-hmm. Somebody from outside the cave has to come out and tell you what the world is actually like. Mm-hmm. Nobody from in the cave can tell you that. Mm-hmm. Somebody outside the cave has to be able to tell you. Or the other metaphor, right? The other metaphor I use is that, let's say that you're in a dark room and you're blind. And there's 5 people they're all in the same condition. The room is dark and they're blind, and they're touching this being. Mm-hmm. It's an elephant, but they're blind in a dark room. So one guy's touching the trunk, the other guy's touching the tail, whatever. And so none of these guys have hope of being able to say specifically what they're dealing with. Mm-hmm. It's complete. Somebody from the outside has to turn on the lights and give you sight to see. Mm-hmm. Then you'll be able to actually see things for what they are.
Right. You'll gain some perspective.
And so because we know it is impossible to say that certainty doesn't exist without violating the law of non-contradiction. But because we also know that our perceptive abilities are not completely reliable. You know, the Jan Laurel thing.
There's
or
a
Yanni.
There's a jacket out.
Yeah.
Is it gold and green or black and something? Did
Yeah.
you see that one?
No, I don't know. What color is this jacket? Is that what I should say?
Sure.
Is this jacket? Let's see. Is there a new one?
Right there.
So this is it. So
I don't know which one it is.
what is the color of this Adidas jacket? Well, I see. Let's do this with the audience. Let's see what people vote.
Blue and white.
Some people are saying black and brown.
Black and brown. I don't even. I literally sat there trying to get my mind to.
Okay, so
'cause
here's
usually I can,
here's
when
the
there's-
jacket, guys.
You know, when there's something out there, like usually you can like kind of flip your mind to like see, like I don't know how to explain it, but like, you know, there's like that picture of like one way you look at it and it's a bunny, and another way you look at it, it's a duck. And I could see both. You know what I mean? Like you kind of just tell your mind to
There
flip.
it is. What color is this? Oh God, it's happened again. Oh my Lord.
But I only see.
I see green, but we saw the same thing too with the dress situation. We saw the exact same. We saw the exact same color.
It's convenient.
Yeah.
You need to be able to see eye to eye, or you're gonna fight over literally everything.
Facts.
Oh, babe, we can agree on this. Green and teal.
Yeah. So
green and brown.
I see green and green and brownish. It's going to be very interesting to see.
I cannot see the other colors.
Human perceptibility has been off.
I know.
But simultaneous to that, the minute you say we can't have certainty, that is itself a certain statement.
Right.
So how do you untie that? How do you unloop that? It's very simple. Number one, we know that certainty exists because of the impossibility to the contrary. Number two, we are certain that our perceptions are not sufficient to get us certainty because of the multitude examples, Yanni Laurel, what color is the dress, yada, 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 yada. So that means number three, the fact that we do know certainty exists, but that we cannot ascertain it by our own senses but that we know that it actually exists because it's impossible for it not to exist, indicates that then there's somebody outside the room. That's the argument.
Right.
There's got to be somebody outside the room. Otherwise, it's impossible to justify epistemology in any meaningful sense.
You know, there's literally, you know, you ask people that question, like, people are like, well, God needs to prove himself to me if he really exists. And then you say, well, what do you need as proof?
What's your evidence?
And then, like, you know, sometimes people will say, well, why don't we just roll back the sky and say, I am God?
Right.
Like, I'm always surprised whenever people say that. I was saying it to somebody the other day. They were like, roll back the sky and say I'm God. I'm like, yeah, but how do you know that's not an alien saying I'm God? Like,
who knows
you don't know that that's...
He knows your superstitions about what God would do, and so he wants to enslave you, so he rolled back the sky and said he was God.
God. Yeah, I mean...
How would you know?
And then when you see this, you know, the sweatshirt thing or the dresses or all that stuff, like, I agree with you. It tells us that our own perceptions of something are not reliable.
Yeah.
Because... something as simple as what color is this? That should be pretty basic. Like, I can understand when people there's nothing moral that's attached to that. It's literally just what color are you seeing?
Correct.
And we are seeing different colors, or we are hearing different words, and it's not because of anything that we've been taught as children. It's just this is you.
Right. So
yeah, we need somebody outside of ourselves to tell us what color is this.
Yeah.
Who's the manufacturer of that sweatshirt?
Right. Right. and we know this in the macro sense when we're not talking theology. So, for example, if I say the earth is flat because from my perceptions it's flat, which it is from my perceptions, a person's going to say, yeah, there's no geologist worth his salt that will agree with you. Well, what are they appealing to? What they're appealing to is, look, there are people who have spent their entire lives applying their mental energies to tell us what the beast is in the room. And so what we're saying when we appeal to scientists, we're saying, yeah, all of us are still in this dark room, but that guy has spent 25% of his life focusing on one specific discipline. So the chances of him being right are much higher than you being right. So that's
you, not me.
That's at the micro level. But like for ultimate questions like the meaning of life, forget it. Like somebody's got to be outside the room. Period. Like this is not like a faith thing. This is the laws of logic. Like there's a difference. Like nobody's ever going to find a square circle. Like nobody's ever going to find that.
Right. It's illogical.
So that's not a faith thing. That's just fact. Like you're never going to find a square circle. You know, so the conversation, I'll probably put the link in the description, or I'll probably cut up that conversation and just put it up by itself because a lot of people are asking about it. It was a fascinating conversation, and he was a really good discussion partner for sure. But yeah, all that stuff kind of like goes into this situation, and then when you're in a situation like in this song, and you're dealing with loss and things like that, he's trying to hold on to some sort of positivity, but you know. If you look at the end, I behold the broken world, a storm rides the sky, pale explosions illuminates the time, the age of violence is upon us.
So this is kind of crazy, probably way too much for our channel. I apologize if you're not interested in what I'm saying here, but okay, over here, when it said a storm rides the sky, remember how he's the cloud rider?
Yes.
So I was thinking about that. So he's saying, behold, I behold the broken world.
Right.
But then he says, a storm rides the sky.
Right.
And so basically Jesus is the cloud rider. It's way too much to go into right now. But
we did a Bible boogie on it.
Right. Pale explosions illuminates the time. The age of violence is upon us. And then that was just crazy to me because the storm rider and like how like people always want to picture Jesus. Either they picture like the God of the Bible is just this horrible person that's just trying to kill everybody.
Right. Or
it's like Jesus and he's carrying this lamb around and he's so sweet and he does nothing. Like nobody's gonna get in trouble. Everybody tried their best. That's good enough. You know what I mean? Like but then when it said that, like obvious, I don't know what they were trying to communicate, but to me, that was Jesus coming in judgment. It really was.
Really?
Yes. Yes, I behold it. But it was a double. It was like it really depends on
well, there is a biblical
kids
theme.
And like one of your kids like did an awesome job, like they took care of the room, they cleaned the house, blah blah blah, and then the other kid just wrecked shop all day. So when dad shows up, they both have different feelings about dad showing up, right? The one that did well is going to be like, yes, dad's here. And the one that really, like, it was a shit show, that one's nervous. Because they know there is going to be a punishment for their actions.
Yeah, well, one of the actual themes about redemption, and N.T. Wright talks about this a lot, is that God saves through judgment. In the sense that if you have a group of people oppressing another group of people.
Oh, that's not one thing.
You have a group of people oppressing another group of people, right?
Yeah.
And then another group comes in and destroys the people that are oppressing you. Those people are going to be you're going to say, oh, that's my savior.
Yep.
And then you're going to look at the people that got bodied and you're going to say, that's their judgment.
Yep.
So Wright is saying Jesus saves through judgment. He saves his people through judgment. So to your point.
Yeah.
Really,
well,
really good song.
I think the other way that he saves through judgment is that it's a warning. Like, like there's a lot of people that are like, I would kill myself, but I'm also afraid of hell. You know what I mean? Like, there's like...
Yeah. Well, and obviously as Christians, what are we saying? We're saying that Jesus was judged.
Yep.
And because he was judged in our place, he became our savior.
Yes.
So God always saves through judgment. That's
that's true. That's
Noah,
true. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sodom and Gomorrah, whatever.
Yep. Well,
because those were evil people who were fat and they were unkind to the poor and the needy.
You thought it was all about
that's what the Bible says.
Yep.
It wasn't about bum sex. It was about not treating people well at their borders.
Mm-hmm.
And so God judged them for not treating the foreigner well at the border.
It's very interesting.
God destroyed them.
It's very, very interesting.
What do you give the song?
I'm giving everything. Everything's getting high. 9.7.
I'm going to give this a solid 8.5.
Also, Julian, send me a message and tell me what your spiritual journey
where
you are.
Last couple songs have been extremely,
as far as your spirit goes,
extremely
very
intriguing.
Curious.
Gotham is yours.
Yeah.
Having said that, dear listener, Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone.